It's time for Respect the Process, a short chat about commercial filmmaking. Here's your host, director Jordan Brady.
Listeners, I got to give Helen some love right now because she came in here. She was supposed to be in the Florida Keys, and instead she delayed her trip just to do the intro. That was marvelous, Helen. And look at you in your little sexy Mrs. Claus outfit. I love it. I know, don't call HR. I'm just giving you props. My guest today is Barry Walton. Barry is... wow, he's a filmmaker, he's a producer, a director, creative director, author. We talk about his documentaries and just, it's a great conversation. I've been sitting on this one for a good 6 weeks or more, but I thought, well, by golly, it'll be my Christmas present to you all. Boot camp, this would be a good boot camp to come to in January. And I'm urging you all to give the gift of knowledge to a filmmaker you love, which could also be yourself. If you get the boot camp as a last-minute gift, you're listening right now, I'm going to make you a printable stocking stuffer card to put in that filmmaker's Christmas stocking. Or you could wrap it in a big box. It's just going to be a piece of paper you print out. The boot camp is on sale. We only take 10 filmmakers. There are 6 spots left. That means only 4 people have signed up. So if no one else signs up and there's 5 of you, think how personable this experience is going to be. I did a call today with Matt, who listens to the podcast, and I really enjoyed chatting with Matt. It was our one-on-one onboarding call. And that's part of the fun for me of doing the boot camp is the one-on-one onboarding call where I get to learn what you really want to take away from the workshop so I can customize it. So go to commercialdirectingbootcamp.com or commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. It's the same thing. And sign up and let me know if you need a Christmas card stocking stuffer thing. Magic Mind, you know, with the ashwagandha, the lion's mane, and all that stuff, they're having a huge sale coming up. So don't even use the code Brady20. Don't even use magicmind.com/Jordan Brady. I mean, you can if it's easy for you to remember, but I know that a big sale's coming up, and I've been hooked on this stuff for about 2 years now, and it does get me in that flow state. It gets me cracking. Just wrapped Valley Toyota, I guess 2 weeks ago now, and I'm in post, and I love being able to shepherd a project from, like, I see the scripts before they go to the client. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I see the scripts before the agency presents. So I'll see about 20 scripts, weigh in, like I'm part of the team. They pick, I guess, 12 or so to go to the client with. Out of that, we pick 8. I don't pick. I don't have a say. Once I've given both my creative, comedic, and production view through that prism of production and comedy, then I wait for the scripts to be approved and we attack it, produce it, I direct. And it was just such a blast. And Pat Finn is one of the, not only the nicest person I've met, it feels like a brother after 20 years of doing these commercials. And I want to give him a special shout out because we had special 20-year anniversary t-shirts and some signs you've seen me post on Instagram. And without Pat Finn, there would be no Pat TV. And as usual, the man pulled it off. So special shout out and Christmas wishes to Pat and his family. I think that's it. Let's get to Barry Walton, Helen. Can you cue up the tape? Enjoy. Barry, I want to say we met over a phone maybe 10 years ago. And in my mind, I know you live in Florida, but in my mind, you were producing out of Detroit. Is this accurate?
Actually, we first met because I came when you were touring with your documentary.
I Am Battle Comic.
I Am Battle Comic.
Yeah, terrible name, by the way. But I came to Detroit. I went to advertising communities where I had friends and fans. And so like in Detroit, Donor, my friend Chuck Meehan, and a bunch of talented women and men at that agency I had worked with over the decades, they helped sponsor the screening, one night only. We raised all the money for charity from the screenings, 100%. And I really pitch young filmmakers to eventize. Now my kids are making fun of me because I say the word so much, but eventize your film or your commercial or your whatever. Make it a party, and if you can add a charity element, it's a win-win-win. The film wins, you win, the charity wins. I'll add a fourth win, the public win.
Yeah, no, I like that, and I enjoyed you then, and I enjoyed your sense of humor and how you made humor of a very how you made something that was very serious edible. You know, my wife's mom is Italian, and it's mangibile. This is, but it was an important topic. And I still think about it today. This weekend I should have watched it a long time ago, but I watched American Sniper.
Oh yeah, that's a great film.
And
isn't that Bradley Cooper dealing with PTSD?
Yep. And then kind of the telling of the character's incredible sniper skills, and this kind of battle between like two amazing snipers. And then, watching these young troops, these young Marines, and I have a friend who did it, knock doors, and they would go into this urban combat and knock doors in houses, and people would just disappear. They'd disappear in tunnels or whatever, and he held cover over them. And it was just, so it's about his PTSD, and then it was a tragic end as well, and just an emotional story. But I remember your work with veterans, and at that time I was doing a lot and working myself to kind of get involved more with veterans. So that's our origin story.
That was it. Well, I'm glad you're finally here on the podcast, and let me jump right into something that's interesting to me. And you tell me, you can pass on any of these questions, but I was on your website, Endless Media. And on the homepage, is it on the homepage? Under work, if I click on small businesses, you have made these, I'm going to say 30-second spots. One's for like a local coffee shop. The other is for what made my mouth water, Obligo de la Luna.
Yeah.
It's like a food truck or something.
Yeah.
See, I've been doing those kind of things. I just did one for a pop-up handmade pizza place. My son did some beautiful work for them, and I just went and bought a pizza and had my iPhone, and I like making Instagram reels. There was this organic beef, grass-fed Argentinian food truck, and I don't know how to make a business out of it, but I just do it for fun because these people become my friends.
Yeah, same here.
So, you answer my question.
Yeah. I have a longer answer than that, though, for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But, I think your question was kind of, is that kind of a staple of your business, or is that... originally I went out and started my business with small business owners in mind. And I did it because I love private ownership, entrepreneurs, and small business owners.
Me too.
No,
I consider myself one.
Yeah, no, because there's a lot of reasons. Number one, I mean, it's very, it feels very American. It feels very capitalistic. But also, small business owners, when times are hard, they feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the difference between food on the plate, almost at some level, and that builds a deeper connection with their work and their relationship with their customers that you don't always get from corporate brands. And this isn't me ripping on corporate brands. They serve a purpose and they have great value, and we wouldn't be able to have cars without massive organizations of people. You have to have it. But I loved small business. So I went out with that was my mission, and I started chipping away at it. And and then I came to terms with the reality. It's like, it's really almost impossible to make a living because, like I said initially, like they feel it every dime they spend, they feel. And what we do, the value that we create for brands has to go in part with their distribution, right? So you can get paid well in our industry as a director when you're creating content for a brand that has a large audience, right?
Scale.
Yeah. Exactly. But if you go to a small business owner and they have a network of 500 people, they don't see, they're not going to pay you to bring, create a commercial level piece of content because it's not going to make sense to them. The value just isn't there.
If you did, let's say they had $5,000, because one time I did a commercial, I produced it for a director I had signed. And maybe I've talked about this over the years here, Barry, but it was called Pop's Hot Dogs. And the reason I approached them and said, hey, not only do I eat your hot dogs, but I love your logo. That was the key for me. And it was in my neighborhood, right? And it was between my house and my office. And I would stop and get these hot dogs. And I saw the logo and I thought, okay, well, this director, Dan Shepard's his name, he'll come up with something funny. And we wrote him and pitched him. We got $5,000. And the guy paid me. I mean, we didn't make a dime. I paid the crew. We had a food stylist. We used their store. But the one thing I got was free hot dogs for life. And I made a little card for my wallet and I would go in. Now, I haven't been there I think they closed it down with the pandemic, but I would go in and there'd be new employees and I would show them this card and go, no, I'm the guy. Call Greg, the owner. Call Sophia, the mom.
I thought you were going to say they closed it down because you ate too many hot dogs.
Because I ate too many. And at one point, the guy did go, he goes, one day the free hot dog thing's got to run out. I go, well, what part's going to run out? I mean, when I die, yeah. Like our deal, we shook hands, free hot dogs for life. But let's say, part of me was like, if I were his financial advisor, I'd go, well, how many hot dogs do you have to sell to make $5,000?
Yeah.
Probably a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah.
At least 5,000. I mean, do they make $1 a hot dog? So that's what I was curious when I saw these, the coffee shop, because make no mistake, listeners, you're starting out and you want to make commercials. I have said this publicly at Commercial Directing Film School. I say it in some of my courses. You can learn more at commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. We have a new website. Go to a local business and see if you can get some money and produce it. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to buy a lot of diapers for the filmmaker, but you'll learn how to craft a story and tell the story and get them some business. Go ahead.
I'll piggyback on that because to your audience, the backside of that for me was I created the taco stand and the other one, Grumpy Biscuits. I created those for free. I had my office at that time was in that building, and those were trucks outside of that building, and I had a relationship with the landlord, and he was trying to build something, and I did that all to get some free food, etc. Similar to
you got free Grumpy Biscuits.
Yeah, free Grumpy Biscuits, free tacos, and I've done that a lot. I've gotten other free things similar to your story. But from that, there's an organization called EGAD, O'Galley Art District, and they're a governing organization, and they were awarded funds to help develop and build and support their businesses. And because of my work with them, I won a sizable project to help tell the stories of and I'm doing it now, of about 5 or 6 small businesses. And I mean, the money kind of is decent. It's not great, but it's enough to kind of make sense of the time to do it. Yeah. So to your point initially, sometimes you do those things and you do them low budget or no budget, but you use that to spin into other opportunities. So just to complement what you were saying.
Amen. I will also say the knowledge value, and this may contribute to the race to the bottom. this being a slow year in 2025, some listeners, Barry, could be in the future right now. Listening 5 years.
I like the way you're thinking. I like. Yeah. Can I just interrupt real quick? Commercial break. One of my favorite signs.
Commercial break.
Commercial break. I was in San Francisco. I used to go around San Francisco snapping photos. I just love taking photos. And one of my favorite signs, I saw this guy, and I don't know if it was a rally or whatever, but he had like a classic, like huge billboard sign. He was holding it up and doing one of these, and the sign read, What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? It's irrelevant.
Funny.
No, it was great. It was a great piece. It's one of my favorite lines. It was hilarious. It's irrelevant. Of course it's irrelevant. Once we get it, we can go anywhere.
And you saw a person holding that sign?
Yeah, I took a photo of him. I have it somewhere in my archives. I could pull it back out and post it. Maybe I'll do it just for the humor of this podcast.
Yeah, I would love to see that. We'll post it.
Yeah.
That may be your. Well, it's not you. So, but we'll post that. Thank you.
Yeah, but your gift is kind of, anyways, you have such a gift with kind of the way you deliver things, and you make me smile. You're so good at making me smile. I just want to tell you that.
Oh, Barry, thank you so much. You're too kind. What I was going to say, now that we're back from the commercial break, and I appreciate the kudos.
Fair.
And it's funny because you and I have never, other than the screening, which I was bombarded, we haven't hung out in real life.
No.
But even scheduling this podcast through text, email, and I think on the phone a few weeks ago, I feel like I've gotten to know you, and we've had very real conversations, and I love that. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I was going to say, for the listener that's wanting to break into commercials and they have a short film, or God willing, they did a feature or a doc or something, but the specificity of making a commercial can be found in a free coffee shop commercial or food truck or your uncle's barber shop. And if they have a little money to spend, you're just going to add it to the production, and you're going to buy some pizza for yourself. And learning, what I was going to say is, I have learned, not with the free ones as much, but on lower budgets opportunities where even a year ago I would pass. Like, I saw a low six-figure budget today for something that should be $350,000. And so this is a version of the coffee shop. There's not going to be high margin, but I got to learn how to do it because there's too many of these type opportunities. And if it's a good relationship, I'll do anything for any price for free or whatever. If I'm friends with the creatives or increasingly the client, happy to help in any way. A younger me would hope they're going to pay me back with a big paying job.
Yeah.
And now that I'm gray, I let that go.
Yeah.
I just do it for the moment. I'm helping you. Somehow I will be rewarded, but I'm not holding my breath that anyone's going to come back with a big Super Bowl campaign.
I think that's smart. No, and it's absolutely true. You'll be disappointed because what you give, let's say to the universe, in a sense, that karma, in a sense, that you're giving, usually doesn't come back. And this is the case with everything. It's universal. Usually doesn't come back from the same person you're giving it to. When you give to someone, you're usually giving to someone that doesn't have the resources. So to expect them to come back. The other thing is so there's two truths there. There's that, and there's also the truth that lots of times when you give something at a lower cost, people will always see you at that cost. And you have to be careful about that. So, I listened. Chase Jarvis is a creative. I don't know if you ever listened to Chase Jarvis. He has
Chase. Helen, get Chase on the show.
He's see, there you go. But he is a talented, I think he's out of LA or New York. He's got a creative channel, and he's been in podcasting for years. But Chase Jarvis always used to say, listen, if you're in this space where what we're talking about, you should, and your client's trying to get you down in your price, speaking to the race to the bottom, you should either choose, are you going to just give it for free? Because if you give it for free, you're maintaining a certain amount of anonymity. You're saying, listen, you can't afford me, I'm going to give this to you. But when you can afford me, this is my price. Don't lower your price.
Oh, that's a good philosophy.
Yeah. So like if your price is 5,000 or 10,000 and that's your bottom, you say, no, I'm just going to give it to you for free. I'm not going to go 3,000. I'm not going to take 1,000. It's too little for me, but I'm going to respect that you can't do it now. Here's it for free. And this will always be my standard when you come back around. That's what you should expect. And then you do it once and you don't make a habit of it.
Or you don't hear from them again.
Yeah. And so I think both of those things are true and about kind of that expectation when you're giving something to somebody. But I have found more often than not, it's not like a cash register where you put it in and right away you can take it back out, but things do tend to come back around if you're giving like that. Yeah.
There's been times when the same people did come back. Like within a year, I did a free thing for a big agency in a hotshot creative team at Ogilvy back in the day. This is going back probably 10 years. And I did a project, we worked together, we got along great. I still show the spot. Then they asked like 6 months later, hey, would you do this? And I said, what do you mean you don't have any money? Like you have 20 grand, you have 50 grand, and they go, no, we have no money. We want you to pay for it. And it was so funny. I told my partners at the time, we have to do this because that they're going out to the director at Smuggler that did the campaign before ours, the guy at Hungry Man, the woman at Pretty Bird, like by including us in this talent pool, one of those other companies are going to pay for it because of the hotshot team and the level of the quality of the script. So we did it, and maybe it was a year actually. They didn't even tell the client they were doing it. That's why they didn't have a budget. And they showed the client when we were done, and the client was going to pay for it to the point where they were going to retroactively pay the actors the SAG fee. I had slid people like cash on the barrelhead. And it didn't end up happening. But like a month later, they dropped a big fat budget spot in my lap, single bid, overfunded. Fake airplane set. We had a blast. I used it on my reel for a number of years. And that was the one time Bill and James Dawson Hollis and Bill Wright, those shout out. Both of them have been on the show, by the way. It's been a minute, and I don't know where they are now. Helen, track Bill and James down.
Well, I wish I had a Helen. I have
you can.
I have the Mandalorian, and that's it right now. Helen's coming. Helen, can I get you over here on my side?
You want to hear a dirty secret?
Yes, please.
Helen left the business.
Tragic.
So, it's been the same recording for 14 years. The September 2013 was our first episode, and Helen did the bit. And I've been doing this. It's an old Bob Newhart bit.
Yeah, right.
Where he talks on the phone to people. And if you're new to the show, I just spoiled it. But yeah, I've been doing the bit, and I tried to get her to re-record something, and the agency said she's no longer with us. Not in the
physical sense.
Physical sense, yeah. I think she's still alive and well in Wales or someplace.
Well, this would be what they call a deep cut.
Yeah, it's a deep cut
because if you know Jordan Brady and you follow him close, this is the inside, and we just got some deep intel.
That was it. This is the first time I've revealed that, by the way.
Yeah. So
but like a year ago, I wanted to record a new thing, and the joke was, and it would probably only make me laugh, I was going to have her say the exact same words, just a little differently. Like, why go to the trouble?
Let me ask you a question. If you'll let me.
Open book.
Tell me a little bit. I'm fascinated a little by your comedy history. Are you still doing stand up? Are you still out there knocking it around? I know you've done some.
No. It's a young man's game, And that's not true. You can be any age, but it is a discipline that you have to. It's so freaking addictive, and you have to go to the clubs. You have to write material. I'm a student of comedy still, and I love stand-up comedy, and I think I enjoy it more now that I haven't done it. I mean, I did it for that movie in 2016, and I've been up. A couple people have asked me to do shows, and I'll do 5-10 minutes. 10 minutes is hard, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's been a couple years.
You got to be practicing. You got to be
doing it. Yeah. It's a muscle. It's like pickleball. You got to be playing all the time. But during the pandemic, I did some Zoom shows just to do it. People said, "Hey, you want to be on our Zoom show?" And you see people like clap or they thumbs up or they hit the emojis, and it was surreal. But
that was like one of your big loves, right? That was like a big passion.
Yeah. It was everything I wanted to be as a young man. Did it for a long time, and it was very good to me. But in life, it's I tell the filmmakers, put yourself in a box, make yourself easy to sell, be known as the woman that does the thing. And that's really just to get you started, because life and opportunities are going to come around and your career mutates. So you may have started off as a tabletop director filming cherries in slow motion, and then you adapt. And now all of a sudden somebody goes, "Hey, we love the way you did the cherries. We have this script with an old couple for a knee medicine, pain relief." All of a sudden, you're a pharma person. You tap that vein. You ride that for 7 years. It happens to be about 7 years. Every 7 years, something happens. And AI has been the disruptor because it's lowered the barrier to entry. And it's taken away, I think, it's settled quickly to take away smaller jobs that people can just make with AI. But I think it's going to settle even further into wide shots and inserts will be AI, and the people will still be the crux of the spot.
Yeah, I don't think. I think AI is going to reshape the market, and it's undeniable to not look at some of the stuff that they're coming out with and not be amazed by it.
Yeah, some of them are amazing, but they're not fully thought out, fleshed out ideas. They're just like demos.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of films I see them on LinkedIn. Sometimes they post films, and I'm like, no, that's kind of. I don't know if I want to. Sometimes I get bought into the fear of what's going to happen. I do think the mid market of the industry is going to get crushed. Your editors, but if you're smart about it, I think one person can do more. I've historically been kind of a one person band, so it might end up working in my favor if I try to stay on top of it, where I can kind of just do more with less. That's kind of been my blessing and my curse in life. I've always kind of wanted to move to your scale. I respect the level of stuff that you do. I see, and I love the posts that you share. Not that this, I don't want to turn this into like right. I don't want to turn this into something too much. I don't want to get too grandiose, but the point is that I enjoy them and I see it, and I guess this is partially to your audience too, because that's really who we're connecting with and speaking with now, which is there's a lot of value I get even at because I don't do commercials that have that scale. My biggest crews get to a 7, maybe 4. Usually I average between 3 and 4. I'm kind of like 2 cameras, an audio guy, and then someone to run around and pick up the scraps and make sure things aren't getting lost. That's kind of the range that I function in and I live in. But I learn constantly from kind of, I remember, one thing you were talking about starting close, and I think it was either starting close and then going wide.
Yeah, don't do the wide shot first.
Yeah, and I took that for my own work. I thought that was useful because I remember you kind of were on a commercial with your friend who's also a comedian who I love. Your Toyota commercials are great.
Pat Finn, thank you.
Yeah, and you kind of outlined how you structured it, how you moved in close, and then you started from there. Then you built wide, and it really boiled down. It sounded like to you reducing risk. Like your risk isn't in capturing all the good wide shots. Your risk is in not getting the close-ups that tell the story, that drive the emotion and the moment forward. And so go ahead.
It goes along with get the funny before lunch, when the blood in the belly's taken away from the brain power. Like if you're doing comedy, you don't want to be first thing telling a person to be funny. But by golly, I mean, there's some really funny people that I have the privilege of working with. Pat Finn probably being one of the funniest humans and nicest people on the planet. And we've been doing that campaign for a long time. And it's not only for the performer, but it's managing the agency and client expectations. You got to think, here's this writer, and she's sold this script at her agency, and she's on set, and you do that wide shot in the morning, and she's hanging on every word the actors are saying. And, Jordan Brady wants the actors to do the whole script because it gets them warmed up, and you'll probably use the beginning or the end for the wide shot. And that copywriter, God bless her, is like got the headphones on in the village and staring at the monitor and go, no, in the middle, he said pancake. It's got to be pancake. And I'm like, well, 1, you don't see their lips. 2, you're going to use a different take. 3, it's the wide shot. You're never going to be on that. You're never going to be on the joke, the delivery of the joke in the wide shot. You may cut right after or loop in a different take, but I don't want to then have to explain that and say, hey, we're only going to do a couple of takes. We're not going to do 8 takes of a wide shot is just not a good use of time. So if you plan your day with the wide shot near the end, that copywriter is so happy. She's already seen the takes in her head or, on set. She's told the script supervisor, Mark, take 4. That was the best in the close-up.
That makes so much sense. No, it's a great answer, actually. It's very useful, I think. And it's a very, you handle it in a casual way. Sometimes my mistakes, especially when I was a young director, but even more sometimes I get, I did a big shoot with Milk 2 years ago. We had a big studio. We were literally shooting 2 sets at the same time.
Milk, the cow fluid,
got
Milk Studios?
Got Milk. No, Got Milk.
Okay, Got Milk.
The United Dairy Industry of Michigan.
Oh wow.
And so we were shooting. We've been doing their social content for a couple of years, and work with a lot of athletes. But in this case, we had 2 studios, 2 setups. I was managing a lot, and it was pretty thin. So I had 4 cameras going in 2 rooms, and I was trying to bounce between. And I had a co-director, but I was trying to bounce between the 2. But what I remember, especially when I first showed up, and fortunately my client is also my friend, and he kind of backed me down. But I showed up with such intensity, right? Because I was so like, oh my gosh, I got so much to do. How am I going to keep up with this? And what I took from you, and what I appreciate in your kind of character is that, and also in your book was that, what's the title of your book again?
It's called Commercial Directing Voodoo. It's 25 years of experience for $10 on Amazon.
See, that's I set you up, and that's a home run. Barry. That's a home run. I set you up. I want to comment about the fact that it seems like you're in a sailboat right now. Is that accurate?
I'm in a trailer.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in a boat. I used to live on a boat in Marina Del Rey, but I'll tell you that story later.
My son Jake, who edits this podcast, lived on a sailboat in Marina Del Rey, and he stuck it out for, I think, 2 years. And I realized it was my dream that I pushed him into. I apologize. It's not the first apology.
Hi, it's me, Jake, the editor. You probably know Commercial Directing Film School offers in-person boot camps and online courses. But did you know my dad does one-on-one consultations? Yeah, he does. So, now you know, okay? Anyway, now back to this enthralling interview.
You have done adventure-style documentaries, and I want to hear about that. What has been your favorite one to date?
Well, I think the one I'm most proud of is probably The High.
The High.
The High is I filmed the race in the Himalayas.
Yes, I'm going to pull it up here.
And I think I'm the most The High, making the toughest race on earth, and I think I'm the most proud of it because it really defined me as a filmmaker. It defined my resolve. That was one of the toughest experiences of my life. I came back with pneumonia in one of my lungs, even.
Yikes!
And I had to go, and there's just so many layers to it, and I talk about it in my book. It's kind of the climax of my book, which is The Unknown Adventurer, where I kind of
Where can we get that?
Well, on Amazon Prime, and Unknown Adventurer, Barry Walton, Amazon Prime. I love it. I'm learning.
See, you're good. You're getting there.
I'm getting one day at a time. You know,
you got to
one day at a
slide
time.
right into it, Barry. When someone asks, just don't even hesitate.
Yeah, I'm taking notes from the pro. No, it's true. And and The High is on Amazon Prime as well. But that film was so challenging to make. And like what it was for me, I think it's a
Where
great.
did you go though? What country? You went to Nepal or Himalayas?
It went to India, northern India, in Ladakh, the region of Ladakh, near Jammu Kashmir. They make a joke up there because there's an ongoing war. It's very militarized up there, and you have the combination of China, Pakistan, and India all up in that region. And the joke is that they're fighting over a glacier. I mean, that's all that's up there, But so not far. I did get to sit down. One of my best experiences in life during that second filming, because I went back. I went there twice, and I get to sit down and listen to the Dalai Lama speak in the Himalayas in front of about 1,000 monks. It was a pretty surreal experience, and I had translation headphones on, so I got to understand.
It's like seeing Prince do Purple Rain in Minneapolis.
Yeah, no, it was easily the only thing that would have made it better is if somehow I could have shaken his hand, but obviously in that setting. But
was it by chance, or you knew he was going to be there?
No, it was definitely by chance. It just happened at the same time that I was there, and a friend mentioned it, said she was going, and I said, I'm definitely going. Let's go. And it was cool, and because of the nature of the area, security was low, and it was like in an open field, and he was sitting in a Buddhist kind of temple setting. I got some photos of it. It was easily a highlight, but the whole experience was a highlight, and really, and this is for your audience as well. Like for filmmakers, the value of that was, there comes a point in everyone's career where we're artists, right? We're artists, and being an artist doesn't always make complete sense, like when you're doing, especially when you're doing a passion project and you don't know where financially how it's going to work out. But there's a part of you that has to forge ahead, that has to have conviction in your decisions and keep going forward, even when, I ran into so many challenges on that trip. And for me, I think it's a great film. Every film you're always growing and learning from, so it's difficult for me to not want to critique it, but I think it's a great film. But also what it did, it solidified in me that this is what I'm going to do as my career. I'm not going back. I'm going to keep going forward. And so that's why it's both my favorite film and kind of one of my favorite projects, or in response to your question.
And that's on Amazon Prime right now.
Yep, Amazon Prime. I have 4 films on Amazon Prime. That's
list them, please.
Reaching Reality, which is I'll turn my There's Reaching Reality.
Oh yeah, right next to
That's a sailing documentary. Me and speaking of your sailing, your son, me and two other friends, and this is really the launching pad of me as a filmmaker. This film, it took me 15 years to finish it, but I had lived in LA. I was working in the commercial film industry, and I'd gone away from it for a little while, and I was like, I can't get away from film. I love this work. And my friend had this idea of this trip, and I said, well, it needs to have purpose for me. So I purchased a camera, and I said, I'm going to document it. And then that sat in the can, as they say, for 15 years because I
remember when you were editing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Following you on social media, like either Facebook back then or LinkedIn now.
Yeah, I was living in Detroit. I was living in Detroit in those years. It was probably around the same time. You know, the High I screened, and it may have been your screening that inspired me to screen The High at the same theater, the main art.
The Fine Art. I think it's called the Fine Art.
Well, I think they closed it, but it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Landmark Theaters. This was pre-COVID. It was the Fine Art. It's a Landmark Theater, and
wasn't it the Main Street Theater in? Didn't you do it at the Main Street?
Maybe the Fine Art's in another city, Barry. I'm feeble.
My
mind's feeble.
Yeah, you're fine though. Well, it happens to us all. But I think when you came to Detroit, it was the Main Street, and it was in. Oh, why can't I think of the name of the town? It's near
the Baghdad or the Black Cat Cafe. I think is around there.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
We went to a little bar next door.
Is it near Royal Oak? I think.
Yeah, Royal Oak. That's where it was.
Yep, that's where it was. It was the main, and they've closed it since. But so
you went on a sailboat, and you had sailed. When you lived on a sailboat, did you take the boat out of the dock? Like it was a sailable?
No,
it wasn't.
My sailing trip that I took with friends, and my personal experience, probably similar to your son, I never got the boat up and running. I never got it up and running.
Yeah, we tried. My father-in-law tried to get the diesel motor started, and it leaked. It was crazy. It was a horrible experience.
Once those things go down, like you got to take care of a boat. When you buy a boat, you got to take care of it because once it starts to die in that salt water, if it just sits in there, it's ruined. Yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast about trying to get rid of a sailboat.
For years, it's funny. For years, I had a reoccurring dream that my boat was sinking and I was still in it.
We kind of wished his would sink, and we taught. There's a nautical term, because my buddy's like, if we leave at 4 a.m, we can take it out to sea and sink it, but we have to scrub the call letters off.
Oh yeah,
because if they fine it, it's like a $10,000 fine or something.
Oh, yeah. I actually thought that would be kind of a fun adventure, just to drill a hole in the bottom and watch it
sink it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of cool.
So you jump on this boat, you take a cam, it must be some sort of digital camcorder at the time.
Sony FX1.
The FX1, which was, that was a workhorse.
Yeah, it was right near the Z1. It was right when we were going to mini HD. It was before we went to digital.
A Canon XL1 was around.
Yeah, it was one of the first HD. It was one of the first, that shot 1920 by 1080. Everyone was shooting 720 by 480. And then this camera came on because I remember all this specifically because I did not have the funds to really be investing in it, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going on this sailing trip for 3 months, which means I'm leaving my job and any income, and I'm spending $4,000 or $5,000 on a camera that But
for the audio only listener, Barry has a shiny wedding ring on his left hand.
Yeah.
And what is your wife? She must be just a loving and supportive partner.
Well, I met my.
You're going to the Himalayas. You're going around the world on a sailboat.
Well, when I was in, so the romance.
How does that work?
Here's romance for you. We'll get into the romance edition of this podcast. I met my wife in Costa Rica.
Boy,
that's
romantic already.
I was on a beach in Costa Rica. I was down there. My cousin had a house down there for a while, and I had been doing shows for Nat Geo and Animal Planet, all stuff I talk about in my book, The Unknown Adventurer, on Amazon Prime. No,
look at that! Come on,
Amazon.
The Unknown Adventurer, Amazon.com.
On the beach, I met my wife. I was with her for maybe 8 hours. I got her name and her contact information. Facebook was kind of in its infancy, and she left. Her friends had to go another direction. I said, come back and stay and let's hang out. Let's have a good day. And she left. And I said, I'm going to come find you in Italy. Literally, because she was traveling on vacation from Italy. I went back home and I booked a ticket. I wrote her on Facebook and I went to visit her. And I stayed in Italy for 12 days, and we fell in love. And I remember sitting in a beautiful kind of villa is grandiose, but I'll just say villa for the time. It was like a beautiful 2-story kind of brick place we had rented, overlooking a Tuscan valley with the sunflower seeds and the beauty of Italy. And in front of me, she had placed a big block of Parmesan and, cured meats, prosciutto, etc., and then a glass of wine and a nice piece of like Italian bread, the kind that crunches and has that crunch to it, and the soft middle. And I'm just like drinking and eating, and this beautiful Italian woman is with me, and I turned to her and I just go, "What do you think if I moved here?" And I did. I moved. I went back to San Francisco where I was living at the time, packed everything up, told all my friends goodbye, and moved to Italy. And
wow, that's great.
I lived
and
over.
You've been married ever since.
Yeah, and I felt, and that
begs the question.
Yeah,
how do you convince her after that story to move to Detroit?
That begs the question. She kind of got suckered into that one. Well, first it was New York. First it was New York.
Yeah, New York, Italy to New York, I could see.
Yeah, well, that's what I sold her on was New York, and we got there, and I was working at the NHL, and I was commuting 3 hours a day on the Long Island Railroad from Long Beach to Penn Station, and I would leave at 6 a.m. and be home at 9 p.m.
Ooh.
And I loved the job. But I was like, is this what my future is going to look like if I'm a New Yorker? And I think it was, because moving closer to the city just got too expensive and frankly too populated for me. I liked LA because it was spread out. I hated LA because of the traffic, but I loved LA because I felt like I could have my own piece of land, right?
Yeah.
New York did not feel that way at all. And so I got a job with the Detroit Pistons, and before she knew it, she thought all America was the same. She grew up in Italy. When I met her, she was still living at home with her mother. I mean, this was straight out of Michael Corleone. I mean, I had found like my lovely Sicilian wife who had lived at home her whole life, both metaphorically but also somewhat literally. She thought all America was the same, and when she went to Detroit, I'm not going to knock on Detroit. I love Detroit. It's a great city. I love my friends there. I love the people
good
there.
People.
But it's cold. We can be honest about that.
It's crazy. It's crazy cold. I don't know how
cold
anyone would live there.
Yeah,
December through March.
Yeah, cold and gray. And so, hence the reason that we're in Florida today. And she's a much happier woman, and happy wife, happy life. You know what they say.
But the reason I ask is you have a relationship that allows for this kind of travel, because I don't think there's another doc you have where you follow that guy biking across America.
Yeah.
She's not going with you on that.
Oh,
she's not in.
Yeah, no, valid point. No, she's very supportive.
That's great.
It's kind of crazy. She very seldom does she push back on my random ideas to just go in. I get impulses or I get, passion projects, and she kind of lets me do them. She's very supportive. She actually kind of likes it when I'm gone.
Well, she's got the mob money from her family.
Yeah. So. She's got the Italian. Well, and then she kind of likes it when I'm gone. It gives her a little space. She's a very independent woman. So.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife is very supportive that way. I just returned back late last night from a trip into North Carolina. Saw my kids and my grandkids, had a blast, and I think my wife, which I had a blast by. I mean, I just love my kids so much, and my grandkids are angels. But my wife, she stayed back, and we get to miss each other.
Yeah.
I want to land this plane. We're going to wrap it up.
Coming
it's
down.
Been great to chat, and we covered a lot of weird things. Yeah. But here's what I want to hear from you, because I'm a huge believer fan of passion projects. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast, is because you go and do whatever you want. Is there a couple of questions about passion projects? And specifically, like, you and I don't do episodic television, right? That's a whole different world. What's the correlation between passion project documentaries and commercials and advertising? You can say none.
No, there is. I mean, commercials and advertising are well scripted, well thought out, well formed and shot kind of pieces of content for your view that makes it easy for your goals. That make content valuable in the commercial world, also make content valuable in documentary or organic style content. The difference might be that I always say I make a clear outline of what I'm doing, a shot list, etc.
For your docs.
At some level, yes. And then I throw it away. Like, I knew what I wanted to get when I did the across the country. I had an idea. And on many on the other ones as well. I mean, the high, I scripted it out. I built a storyboard. I had my shot list, and I knew what I needed to tell the story, especially when I was doing recreations. But at some level, the difference is when you're in that organic space is you can't. It can't be your measure of. And I think it's probably your case as well, because you're an artist, so. Part of you get on set and you're inspired by something, and while you have to stick to the script, you're like, oh, what if we did this? You know? And so it's that kind of that same mentality.
That's the magic.
Yeah, the magic. Exactly. Where you have to kind of throw it away and kind of let the magic happen. So I think there's a lot of correlation, and I think it's across the board. And I think it starts by writing. You know, our industry lives in, I believe, and maybe you do or don't, please join in, but I believe starts with the writers. You have to write it out.
Absolutely.
And then build it up from there. And that's across the board, documentaries or films or commercials.
Yeah, it all starts with a great script.
Yep, it does. It's
with or at least the one word idea. With documentaries, for me, I've always had a thesis or a thesis statement. And the first big doc that I did about comedians, right? I Am Comic, which is everywhere, Apple TV or Amazon, wherever you get your documentary fare. With I Am Comic, I was exploring what it was like to be a comedian. And I would interview comedians, and everyone would say, well, what's your angle? And I was so open. I was like, well, you know, it's a hard job. It's an easy job. It's fun. You do whatever. You got to be funny professionally, not just, you got to be on a moment's notice. But they were like, yeah, but what's your way into it? Like, what's your point of view? And that forced me to have an answer after, 5 times when someone's going, well, but are you making fun of it? Or do you love it? And I realized, well, it's a love letter to stand-up comedy. With the battle comic, the thesis was less concrete. It was a personal journey. How could I support the troops, which at the time we were at war in the Middle East, right? How can I support the troops and still have the integrity to my soul of opposing this war? How can I believe we shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But the 19-year-old from Lubbock who enlisted, who needed a job or else he'd work on the farm and he was tired of that, or the kid from Detroit who she had no way out, so she joined the Navy, whatever it was. I felt for these kids and career military people as well that defend our country. And make no mistake, Barry, I have believed in my dad, my grandpa, uncles, a lot of people have served. I tried. It's another podcast. It's another enlisted in the Marines.
We'll schedule that one.
We'll schedule it. Helen, get the Marine story on the books with Barry. He'll document it. So, and I believe that having troops, this is maybe controversial for some of our liberal listeners, I believe that the U.S. having a military presence around the world, especially, well, it's probably different now in 2025, but I believe that that makes America safer because there are splinter cells and things like we're recording September 15th, right? We just had 9/11. And every year since that happened, I think there were people living in America going to honky-tonk bars and strip clubs, plotting an attack. Like, our way of life did not woo them where they went, you know what? I signed up to blow up the tower, and I talk funny now that I've been living in Texas for 7 years, but they stuck to the mission. And that tells me that, different strokes. But my point being, I know I'm meandering, but having intelligence around the world keeps America safer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I believe in that, but I did not believe in the war where we didn't find weapons of mass destruction. So my thesis for I Am Battle Comic was, how do I tell the story and thread the needle of supporting the troops without supporting the war?
Yeah, no, I mean,
was a long chunk there.
No, I liked it, and I have a lot of thoughts that I would want to unpack on that. I don't want to
double click on it, Barry.
Yeah,
double click on it. Open it up.
Yeah, no, but part of my thought is I'm in agreement with you, and I don't know who this quote is from, but they say, if you want peace, prepare for war. If you're romantic and you subscribe, like I have at different times in my life, especially when I was younger, towards, the Lenin kind of doctrine, in a sense, where it was imagine
John Lennon.
Yeah, John Lennon, where it was imagine all the people, and gosh, there's times when I want that. But I have traveled enough of the world and have seen enough and have had enough one-on-one experiences, let alone international experiences, where I realize the human condition is unpredictable, dynamic, and hard to simplify down to a peaceful utopia. So I do think you have to be realistic about things, and that's and taking it back to film in our work. Part of what, that initial thing, it was like, write it down and then throw it away, is part of the realism of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to take what you love and you have to throw what you love up against the reality of life. And you have to, and that's your ideas as well. You have to throw, and I feel like this goes across film and it goes across culture. And I feel a little bit of what we're battling right now is in our culture is that you have to be able to throw your ideas against reality and accept the terms of reality, right? And I think that's a little about what you're saying with war. It's not always beautiful. What are the realities that we have to face? And with film and making projects and all the other things that we're seeing, reality is always that connection between your ideas and your dreams and executing them against time and space.
Right. The realities, to be an idealist, you'd have a bigger budget. On your film, right?
Yeah.
If you need more money, ideally, yes. But the reality is, I talked to a couple of filmmakers, and one on the show, Matt Macedo, does these vertical videos, and they get one take. My daughter acts in them, the new dramas, and really? They get one take, and that closet is a jail cell, and we're going to turn the camera the other way, and it's going to be the king's palace. They're so inventive, and it's a genre now that's here to stay, but the level of inventiveness, because of the realities, the ideal world, you'd have a jail set and then you'd go to a palace.
Yeah.
The reality is, make it work. You've got 12 hours to do 10 pages
to work with this budget. You're always up against reality. I'm a rose-colored glasses person in the sense that like, oh, it needs to be this way. Why can't I do it this way? As a business person, the biggest lessons I've found in the last 7 years, 8 years of doing business is like, it doesn't matter what you think it needs to be. If you want to stay in business, you have to deal with what it is, right? And I've lost clients because I'm like, no, but I'm having a hard time doing, and there's a lot, you could make a lot to that. Well, maybe those clients need to go for you to get to the next level, et cetera. There's a lot of different layers, but the biggest issue is coming up against our current kind of theme, which is coming up against reality. And you got to face reality.
And that's what makes, to bring it back to the start, that's what makes the coffee place, the nasty biscuits, grumpy biscuits.
Yeah, nasty biscuits.
Grumpy biscuits.
Good
that would be a terrible
grumpy
name.
biscuits, but not nasty.
Grumpy biscuits and the food truck, which just, my mouth is watering. That's why it makes it better to do it for free.
Yeah.
Because you feel good, and there's no amount of money that, well, I don't want to be absolute about it, but it seems improbable that there's an amount of money they could spend on that piece that would elevate the results part and parcel with the spend.
Yeah.
Like, to get a return on, if you're going to do it for a couple thousand, it's not going to be any different than if you do it for free.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's the ongoing conversation, and you have to hold your value. I
liked what you said about if you had a client and do it for free and then just write them off, and then the karma, or however you believe that the universe will pay you back, is probably not going to come from that freebie. You can, in the practical world, take that grumpy biscuit spot, new filmmaker listening to Barry and Jordan, and go across the street to, Angry Ice Cream and say, we did this for $4,000.
Yeah.
And they'll go, 4,000, I have 3. And you take the 3, you get free ice cream for life, and you make another one. So I think you could cobble together a reel over time by investing in these small businesses. But to start with, find the ones that have the money.
Mm-hmm.
And or do one for free that you love.
Yeah, and lots of times accepting that small business just doesn't have that budget. And you do that, and then you go to an agency. If you do it really well and it's really clean, you pitch it to an agency. You pitch it to a bigger client, I used to do, I was trying to get in the boating market for a long time, and I just found a friend who had a really nice boat he wanted to sell, and I just made it look great. And then I tried to take it to boat distributors and get into boat
world
market. Right. Yeah. And sell and do marketing for boating, Skidoo or whatever, those they're not boats. Those are jet skis, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to take away for your listener when it comes to that stuff. Mostly just understanding that, that all the funds kind of come together at the end of the year, and you can't count every dollar, right? This one you did for free, that one you did for 5 or 10, et cetera, and then end of the year you look at your numbers and you go, okay, we're in the green. Things have to happen for free in order to get to the spot where you're getting paid. Lots of times, it's kind of a change. We're all giving things at some level. There's always a trade-off there.
Interesting you went green. I'd like to see your books.
Oh, green book. I meant black. Thank you for. I'd
never heard that. We're in the green. I knew what you meant, but I was
why isn't it the green though?
It should be the green.
It should be the green, shouldn't it? I mean, if you're going in the red, you're changing.
You should go to the green. Red is stop spending. Green is go, baby, go.
I got that from Greenlight, the book, McConaughey's book, Greenlight.
Oh yeah,
Greenlight.
Now, Barry, we're coming to an end, and everyone answers this question: what does respect the process mean to Barry Walton?
Well, let me take this in. I've heard you use this.
Yeah,
I've heard you use this phrase multiple times.
It's the name of the show. It's on the
Yeah.
the sticker on the back of the boat right there.
Oh, look at that.
It's a trailer. It's not a boat.
Okay, you threw me off there. I was going to say,
It does float though. It's fiberglass.
Respect the process. I think I always think big. I'm an ethereal thinker, right? And so when I respect the process feels like kind of the nature of life and the flow of life. Like if you're a PA, don't undercut the director, right? Don't undermine leadership because you want to be in leadership. Support leadership. That's the process is that you're going to slowly get there. You don't need to tear them down to get there. You know what I mean? That for me is an example of like respecting the process. And that's the case across life. I mean, we're a very, very competitive culture, right? And the youth are always trying to climb up that ladder as fast as they can across all industries. But for me, respecting the process is recognizing that each phase of life has something to teach you. Mm-hmm. And for you to shortcut yourself by wanting something that you're not ready for and cutting down people that are between you and getting that, you're not respecting the process, and you're cheating yourself and you're cheating life. And inevitably you will find that life, and this is what's beautiful about life in the struggle of life, is life will teach you. If you disrespect the process, life will teach you. It will teach you. It will force you to respect the process. Life has a way of doing that. And even myself recently in the last 2 years, I have been going through some trials and struggles and tribulations in a sense. And lots of times when I'm in my hard spots, I'm like, man, I learned this, and I wish I had learned, that thing 20 years ago. I wish I'd listened to my parents.
My younger self.
I wish I'd listened. For me, it was buying a house. I wish I'd gotten in the market sooner, and that's kind of the this for me in this conversation where I'm like, oh, if I'd gotten in 20 years ago, this place would be paid for, not dealing with this crazy inflated market. But the point is you learn inevitably. The advice that I give you now, I used to say to my students, and you probably do too at some level, hear me now and listen to me later. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, no, I used to say that a lot. Hear me now and listen to me later. And you understand the intent. It goes to our original time travel idea that sometime in the future, you're going to hear the wisdom that I'm giving you now because it will apply. And so take this with you. Life will teach you. And if you disrespect the process, it will teach you to respect it. So respecting the process is respecting life and the natural course that it will take you through.
Wow, that's a great answer, Barry. Thank you.
That was heavy and long and big.
Good. That's what we need. We need heavy. Okay, so when people click on Barry Walton, where does it take them?
Yeah,
when they're in the show notes.
My website is endlessmediame.com, endlessmediame.com, and you can find 4 of my films, which are on Amazon Prime, 2 of which I mentioned in this podcast. So you'll have to listen to the whole thing to get to them. You'll also find my book there, and you can and for listening to this podcast, if you go to the book, it has a drop down to a free ebook. And you can go on there and you can fill out the form and make sure you put that you were on Respect the Process. And I will send you a free copy, digital copy of my book. It's free for your audience exclusively.
So someone goes to buy it, but if they sign up and they get your newsletter, which I enjoy every month, I think.
Yeah.
They get the book for free.
Yeah, they get the book. They can get the ebook for free. Yeah, the digital
ebook,
the digital copy.
It's not as fun though. It's not.
No, as fun. Yeah. I always encourage the paperback. It's a great read. I've had a lot of compliments. Look, I've made a lot of films. I think that the book is easily my greatest accomplishment, and I have another one coming. But I love writing, and I think there's a lot of great stuff in there for your audience and listeners. So it's a great accomplishment. I think you'll enjoy it. And yeah, check it out.
Barry, thanks again. This has been a blast. Listeners, I'm going to post all the links. And Barry, come back anytime and keep us keeps up to date on your next project.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's already booked me for that. What did you have her book me for? I forgot. You called
Helen for Chase. You're going to come on and Chase.
I should have been quicker. Oh, yeah. There's so many more things I'd love to say. So let's do it again sometime.
We'll do a part 2, man. Hey, thanks again. Enjoy your week.
Take care, Jordan.
Bye, Barry.
Commercial Directing Film School's mission is to help filmmakers direct commercials professionally. With online courses and in-person boot camps, we demystify the process to get you to the next level, all taught by your accessible mentor, filmmaker Jordan Brady.
True Gentleman Industries. We make commercials.